He reshaped the world, from zero to Russia's throne. Ready? Vladimir Putin's rise is a global shockwave. From a broke KGB spy to ruling Russia for 25 years, his journey from zero to power will blow your mind. Let's dive into his early days in Leningrad, a story of grit and ambition. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on October 7, 1952 in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. It wasn't a fairy tale. He grew up in a cramped, rat-filled apartment sharing a communal kitchen with neighbors. His parents survived the brutal Nazi siege of Leningrad during World War II, losing a child to starvation. Putin was their only surviving son, and they poured everything into him. As a kid, he was scrappy, always fighting in the streets, standing up to bullies. He found discipline in judo, earning a black belt and learning to channel his fire. School? He was average but obsessed with Soviet spy films. At 16, he marched into the KGB office to join. Too young, they said. Go to law school first. So he did, studying at Leningrad State University, dreaming of a bigger life. In 1975, Putin's dream came true. He joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's feared intelligence agency. For 15 years, he worked as a foreign intelligence officer, stationed in East Germany from 1985 to 1990. His job? Spying on NATO, recruiting informants, and watching the West. But the Soviet Union was crumbling. In 1989, Putin stood in Dresden as the Berlin Wall fell, witnessing the collapse of everything he'd sworn to protect. He burned secret files to keep them from protesters, radioing Moscow for orders. But no one answered. That moment scarred him. He later said it taught him the state could vanish overnight. In 1990, he retired as a lieutenant colonel and returned to Leningrad, jobless, with a family to feed. His spy days were over, or so he thought. Back in Leningrad, Putin took a low-key job at his old university, but his KGB skills caught eyes. He became an aide to Anatoly Sobchak, St. Petersburg's mayor, learning the game of politics. By 1996, he moved to Moscow, joining President Boris Yeltsin's team. He climbed fast, deputy to the Kremlin's chief administrator, then head of the FSB, the KGB's successor, in 1998. Yeltsin, battling health and chaos, needed a successor. On August 9, 1999, Putin was named prime minister, a virtual unknown. But then, a crisis. Chechen rebels clashed with Russian forces. Putin launched a military campaign showing strength. Russians, tired of Yeltsin's mess, loved his decisiveness. On December 31, 1999, Yeltsin resigned, naming Putin acting president. At 47, he'd gone from zero to the Kremlin's throne. Putin won his first full term in 2000, promising stability. Russia was broke, hyperinflation, crime, chaos. But oil prices soared, and Putin used the cash to rebuild. Living standards rose, and many Russians saw him as a savior after the wild 1990s. He centralized power, taking control of media, renationalizing industries, and sidelining oligarchs who didn't bow to him. By 2004, he'd won a second term with 71% of the vote, but critics called him authoritarian. Independent TV networks were shut down, and opposition voices silenced. Putin didn't care. He wanted a strong Russia, feared on the world stage. In 2008, term limits forced him out of the presidency, so he became prime minister, still pulling the strings. In 2012, he returned as president, and he's been there ever since. Putin's Russia flexed muscle. In 2014, he annexed Crimea after Ukraine's pro-Russian leader was ousted, sparking global outrage. He backed separatists in eastern Ukraine, leading to years of conflict. In 2022, he launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, aiming to stop its drift toward the west. The war's been brutal, hundreds of thousands of lives lost, cities reduced to rubble. The International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest, though he's unlikely to face trial. At home, Putin's faced protests. 2011 saw thousands demand his exit after alleged election fraud. He cracked down hard, jailing critics like Alexei Navalny, who survived a poisoning attempt, but died in prison in 2024. Despite challenges, Putin's grip holds. His 2024 election win gave him another term, potentially until 2030. Today, Putin's led Russia for over 25 years. He's 72, with a $200 billion fortune, some estimate. His legacy? A stronger Russia, but at a cost. Freedoms curbed, enemies silenced. In 2024, he signed laws to boost birth rates, tackling Russia's population decline, a crisis he calls key for the nation's future. Economically, wages rise, but so do prices, especially in regions like Kamchatka and Irkutsk. Putin's vision remains a feared, sovereign Russia. What's next? He could rule until 2036, thanks to a 2020 constitutional change. From a broke spy to a global titan, Putin's journey screams resilience. What's your zero? Your dream? Putin's story proves zero's just a starting line. From nothing to power, he reshaped a nation. Loved or feared, his rise inspires. Like if this fired you up, subscribe for more epic journeys and comment, what's your zero? Let's rise together. See you next time.